The New Brunswick Mat Registry was founded to document the hooked mats that cover the floors and walls of New Brunswick homes. These are mats made by our grandmothers, mothers, and friends to keep their families warm and bring color into their homes. A network of volunteers from all regions of the province have created a New Brunswick Mat Registry to preserve not only the history of mat hooking, but the stories behind them. We invite you to bring your mats to one of our registry locations where volunteers will interview the owner of the article to learn about the mat. The mat will be examined, documented, and photographed. Finally, a tag will be attached to the item with a registry number. For a hooked mat article to qualify for registration, it should have been made more than 25 years ago in New Brunswick or by someone born in New Brunswick. Up to 4 mats per person will be documented at any one registry session. There is no fee to register. The registry and its volunteers are supported by donations and corporate sponsorship. When you arrive at the registry, you will be greeted in the language of your choice, French or English. The registration process will be explained, and you will sign a form giving permission for your mat or mats to be registered. A volunteer will then direct you to your first stop, the interview station. The interview station gathers information and creates a record of the history of the hooked item and its maker. The stories and information you share with us about the mat's maker, details about their life, such as when and where they lived, their interests, or any activities that may have influenced their hooking, creates a picture of this craftsperson. Information about the mat is documented. Was the mat bottom purchased? Was the mat design adapted from a picture or source of inspiration? Designed by the hooker or someone else? We encourage you to bring printed material, diaries, and photos pertaining to the mat and the mat maker. If very little information is known about the mat, just the act of registering it adds to the value of the registry, and it is no less important. All this information paints a picture, and the mats become not just interesting objects, but pictures of our New Brunswick history and the culture of the people who produce them. At the examiner station, the mat is examined by volunteers with specialized knowledge in textiles, patterns, and rug hooking techniques. Examiners are often able to estimate the age of the mat by the textiles used. The mat bottom may be a burlap feed bag, the textile's early stockings. Sometimes the source of the design or the pattern can be identified. Different hooking techniques are documented, such as raised patterns and techniques to finish the mat and its edges. All this information is recorded. The mat travels through the process via volunteers. They are responsible to keep the mat moving smoothly from one station to another until it makes it back to its owner at the end of the registration and the documentation is complete. At the photography station, the hooked article is photographed, the front, back, and any special areas of interest in the design or technique. Any photographic material that accompanies the mat is scanned to create a digital copy for the registry. The final step is for an identification number and tag to be sewn onto the back of the mat. This number will always link the mat to the NB Mat Registry record. It has now successfully become a part of the NB Mat Registry. The mat is returned to the owner and taken home to be treasured. After the registry session, the NB Mat Registry volunteers, working with their partner, the New Brunswick Museum, enters the collected information and photographs into a database at the museum. This database is maintained by the New Brunswick Museum and will be available to historians, researchers, writers, and artists. Documenting individual histories, images, and the influences on the creation of these hooked mats, the volunteers behind the New Brunswick Mat Registry work to ensure this part of our culture can be made available to future generations. Please contact us for the location and time of the next registry in your area.